This evening, SWAT commander to be reassigned. Quarantine crossing continues to be a treacherous journey. President Granger meets with the opposition leader. In the region, in Trinidad and Tobago, representatives moved to pass a no-confidence motion against THA Chief Secretary Alvin Charles. And internationally, in Liberia, football star wins the national election.
From Safe TV headquarters in South Rival Gardens, this is Safe TV Headline News with George Gonzalez.
Today is Wednesday, January 3rd, 2018, and this edition of Headline News is now being streamed live on our YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. Embattled SWAT commander Moti Duki is to be reassigned amidst an alcohol smuggling scandal. Esther Sobers tells us that Minister of Public Security Kemraj Ramjatan calls for him to resign.
Moti Duki, who has only been the commander of the SWAT team for 3 months, has been reprimanded for allegedly smuggling 30 cases of Johnny Walker across the quarantine border with Suriname. Sources disclosed that a meeting was held between Assistant Commissioner of Police Clifton Hicken and several top police officials today. It was noted that during the meeting, Hicken confirmed that Amit Das with heady units and recommendations was accepted by Commissioner of Police Acting David Ramnarine. However, when Channel 2 Headline News contacted Hicken to inquire why Amit Das was chosen as the new SWAT commander, he refused to comment on the matter and suggested that we speak to Ramnarine. When contact was made, Ramnarine said, I quote, "That's not an explanation I should be giving anyone, especially not the media or the public," end quote. According to media reports, Minister of Public Security Kemraj Ramjatan is of the belief that Duki should be out of the force as he has tarnished the image of the organization. Ramjatan said that such actions make it hard for other officers of the force and sets a bad example to junior ranks. When asked if he agrees with the minister's opinions, Ramnarine again had no comment. Duki was arrested in front of Wim police station with a bus full of smuggled alcohol. He reportedly told the rank that the vehicle was ferrying 10 cases of whiskey for the Guyana Police Force All Year's Night party, which was not true. The officer was subsequently required to remain in the police station to facilitate investigations, but, however, he left the same night and returned the next morning. It was confirmed that the officer was not given permission from his superior to be in Berbice. Reporting for Channel 2 Headline News, I'm Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. The victim in the fatal accident at the intersection of Winter Place on Brick Dam has been identified as 72-year-old Jocelyn Joseph of Bench Street, Wortmanville. According to a police report, the elderly woman was on her way to the Borda post office to collect her pension when she was struck down by a speeding motorist. This morning, President Granger met with the leader of the opposition at State House. The two met to discuss the appointment of the new Chancellor and Chief Justice. Opposition leader Bara Jagdeo was accompanied by opposition parliamentarians Gail Tashira and Priya Manikchan. The president was accompanied by Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Basil Williams and Minister of State Joseph Harmon. They met to discuss the appointment of a substantive chancellor and chief justice, as well as nominees to the teaching and judicial service commissions. The president wants Guyana-born Belizean Chief Justice Kenneth Benjamin for the post of chancellor and Guyana's acting chancellor, Justice Yonette Cummings-Edwards, for the post of chief justice. If the opposition leader does not approve, Cummings-Edwards may remain as acting chancellor and Justice Roxanne George Wiltshire as acting chief justice. If Benjamin gets Jagdeo's approval, he would have to be recommended to the president for appointment as a judge by the Judicial Service Commission. After he is appointed a judge, he would be elevated to the post of chancellor. This is in keeping with Article 127 of the Constitution, which states that the Chancellor and the Chief Justice shall be appointed by the President acting after obtaining the agreement of the Leader of the Opposition. The opposition leader asked President Granger for more time to do a background check on Benjamin. The two will meet again on February 7, 2018, to follow up on the proposed names for appointment of the Chancellor and the Chief Justice. Stick around. We have more news for you after the break. For the best Creole food in town, come to Ridley's Restaurant. Taste our hot meals, fresh bread, and sweet pastries. Our spacious dining hall is free for all occasions. For reservations and more, call 226-2518 or 225-7245. We're open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Wrigley's Restaurant, located at 38 Robb Street, Laceytown, between King and Wellington Streets. For breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Ridley's Restaurant. Tasty and healthy eating.
This place is really hot. What's wrong with your AC?
It's not working.
Well, we wouldn't be able to continue this meeting anymore because this place is extremely hot.
Wait, please don't go.
Here's a company you can call to get your AC fixed. Action Cool.
Honey, what's for dinner? I had a hard day.
I'm sorry you had a hard day, but guess what, babes? I didn't cook today because the stove is not working.
Having trouble at home or at the office? Then call the professionals at Action Cool. Our fully trained technical team have the skills and experience in repairs of all air-conditioned units, refrigerators, gas stoves, washing machines, and a whole lot more. For further information, visit us at 86 Hill and Princess Street, Mandela Avenue, Georgetown, or call us on telephone number 225-7867.
Welcome back. There is a disaster waiting to happen on the Quarantine River. Channel 2 Headline News spoke to both the Transport and Harbor Departments and the Maritime Division, and we were told that the operations between the Suriname and Guyana border are, as yet, unregulated. Our reporter Wendell Jeffrey takes us to the infamous backtrack and files this report.
This is the boat landing and the walkway at the so-called backtrack between Guyana and Suriname. This walkway is on the Guyana side. It is mossy, slippery, tattered, and very unsafe. This senior citizen is being helped along this crude, treacherous path by her daughter and a kind-hearted citizen. This was yesterday morning, and Channel 2 Headline News was on site. She had just arrived from Suriname. Her trek was tedious ever since she was preparing to leave via the backtrack on the Suriname side of the river. She had to be assisted along the shore by a local boat tout, and then he left her to continue his touting. She was tired, and the boat had not yet arrived, so after being assisted by her daughter, she sat down on the rocks to take a rest. She was then hoisted, and the tout took his time and took her over the rocks, and she was placed into a waiting boat. This boat is the boat that our senior citizen was placed into. I boarded the same boat and was sitting immediately in front of her. I did not want to unnerve her by pointing my camera directly at her, but watch as most of the passengers in the boat wore no life vests, including the senior citizen who put on no life vest. The tout had a little time getting the boat off the sand because of the weight, but after a little while, we were on our way. George, over my shoulder there, if you can look carefully, you will see the outline, and that is Guyana that we're seeing over here. I'm on the Suriname side, and as you've seen in the report, this is a very treacherous undertaking for those who are planning to travel when the Kamawambia is no longer in service, as well as those who are currently traveling. You see what's happening here. Little children, young people, women, all of them without the suited gear for traveling on this treacherous route between the Suriname border and the Guyanese, between the Suriname border and the Guyanese border, a route that has yet been that is yet to be regulated. This is an unregulated travel. Of course, when you get on the other side, you have the customs and immigration that deal with you over there on the Guyana side, but the journey, the waterways are not yet regulated between these two sister nations. As you will notice that another boat has arrived here. This is from the Guyana side of the pond. You will notice that none of them is wearing any life vest. And this is a daily trip, and this will happen all day. And when the Kamawambi is out, this is going to be multiplied several times over. Some are lifted out. You will notice that they are children who are making this treacherous route. But it's a chance that the Surinamis and Guyanese are prepared to take. George, very dangerous it can be. But as you see, the folks are comfortable, like nothing happened. And I guess that they put the safety is truncated for expediency, for time consumption, even for financial consumption, because it's cheaper to come this way than to come the way of the ferry. Back to you, George.
Wendell, what are the feelings from those who are taking the chances to make this dangerous trip?
George, I asked some folks what they thought of the trip and the safety, and some just decide that they will pray and they will hope for the best. But all in all, some of these folks have been doing this for a while. Some of them are new to it. Some are scared, but given the finances, given the time constraints, because when you travel this way, you get into Guyana or Suriname faster and you're able to get into town. When you come the way of the ferry, the time is a lot longer. You're looking at another 4 or 5 hours that is added on, that are added on to the trip, and so people prefer to use this route than to use the ferry, George.
I see. Thanks, Wendell. It should be noted that the MV Kanawaima, the ferry at the official legal crossing, will be out of service between January 6th to the 14th, 2018 for an emergency docking. Another docking is scheduled for April. During this time, neither Suriname or Guyana will be offering services to cross the river. Wendell Jeffrey will tell us more of this development in a subsequent newscast. Gaisuco's downsizing has left hundreds of sugar workers without a job and uncertain of their future. Esther Sobers tells us that the stress has caused 2 redundant sugar workers to commit suicide.
The 2 dead men are Ramnaris Besessar, a former employee of Wales Estate, and Joseph Mohabir of Rosal Estate. The men were 2 of hundreds of distraught sugar workers who were declared redundant during Gaisuco's mass layoffs. Reports indicated that on December 28, 2017, Besessar ingested gramazone, a herbicide. His wife discovered his lifeless body in the bedroom of their home. Besessar was taken to West Demerara Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. And just 2 days after, Joseph Mohabir, a former field superintendent of Rosal Estate, hung himself in his bedroom. Expressions of sadness over the passing went beyond the families of the 2 men. The Guyana Agricultural and General Workers Union, or GAHU, expressed deep concerns over the deaths. In a telephone interview, GAHU General Secretary Sipal Narain expressed his unhappiness.
It is most unfortunate that, the government is pushing ahead with this wrong decision, and they are not looking at the consequences.
In a recent press release, GAHU offered its condolences and expressed the belief that the government's plans towards the sugar industry were ill-conceived and spiteful. However, wanting to deter other laid-off workers from committing suicide, GAHU encouraged other workers not to give up in the face of adversity. GAHU also encourages those who may be suicidal to get help. Persons are encouraged to accept help from the Interagency Suicide Prevention Helpline through telephone numbers 223-0818 or 223-009. Reporting for Channel 2 Headline News, I'm Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. The Demerara Harbour Bridge has recorded a decline in vehicular traffic for the first time in nearly a decade. Here's more. In 2017, 3,525,657 vehicles traversed the bridge when compared to 3,599,969 in 2016. This is a reduction of 74,312, or 2.06%. General Manager of the Demerara Harbour Bridge Corporation, Ralston Adams, suspected that the decline may be as a result of the increase in the bridge tolls or the daily traffic congestions, especially during peak periods. Adams said the DHB Corporation will examine the figures to determine the real cause for the decline. Nonetheless, the corporation received $809.9 million in revenue in 2017. This represents a 51.5% increase when compared to 2016, when $610 million were collected. This represents a 51.5% increase when compared to 2016, when $610 million was collected. On average, the bridge's annual cost is around $900 million. According to Adams, the increase is due to the rise in the tolls that took effect in January of 2017. The new fare structure was to reduce a yearly subvention the bridge receives from the national government. Still ahead, we have our regional news, our international news, and your 7-day weather forecast. Stay with us.
This place is really hot. What's wrong with your AC?
It's not working.
Well, we wouldn't be able to continue this meeting anymore because this place is extremely hot.
Wait, please don't go.
Here's a company you can call to get your AC fixed. Action Cool.
Honey, what's dinner? I had a hard day.
I'm sorry you had a hard day, but guess what, babes? I didn't cook today because the stove is not working.
Having trouble at home or at the office? Then call the professionals at Action Cool. Our fully trained technical team have the skills and experience in repairs of all air-conditioned units, refrigerators, gas stoves, washing machines, and a whole lot more. For further information, visit us at 86 Hill and Princess Street, Mandela Avenue, Georgetown, or call us on telephone number 225-7867.
For the best Creole food in town, come to Ridley's Restaurant. Taste our hot meals, fresh bread, and sweet pastries. Our spacious dining hall is free for all occasions. For reservations and more, call 226-2518 or 225-7245. We're open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Wrigley's Restaurant, located at 38 Robb Street, Laceytown, between King and Wellington Streets. For breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Ridley's Restaurant. Tasty and healthy eating. Welcome back. We now take a look at news from the region. In Trinidad and Tobago, a no-confidence motion against THA Chief Secretary Kelvin Charles is coming. Those passing the motion argue that Charles has done little to improve the lives of Tobagoans during his tenure. C-News brings us that story.
A no-confidence motion against THA Chief Secretary Kelvin Charles is coming. Minority Leader Watson Duke plans to move the motion, saying that he believes that after almost a year as Chief Secretary and after $3 billion spent, Tobago has not seen improvements in any sector. Speaking at his weekly press conference, Mr. Duke said the motion would be moved the next time the minority takes a motion to the House. Patricia Nicholson has the details.
Leader in the Tobago House of Assembly, Watson Duke, said Tobago has not changed for the better since Chief Secretary Kelvin Charles came into office. In fact, Mr. Duke told reporters at the weekly minority press conference that he thinks the island has regressed, and it's because of this he will be seeking to bring a motion of no confidence before the House.
Well, we have to first of all rectify when is the minority leader's time to lead the motion. It should have been this month if it is every quarter, However, it seems as if they press rewind and they've started in January. So we'll have to verify that. However, as long as it takes, we would be mobilizing.
Mr. Duke said he will be calling on all villagers from all communities in Tobago to mobilize at James Park on that day.
We would be mobilizing. We'll be going by the highways, the byways, the river, the ravines, to mobilize the common man, the common woman, the educated, the uneducated, the fat, the slim, whoever may heed the call to come to James Park on that day, to bring traffic to a standstill on that day and let Trinidad know that we reject Kelvin Charles and his 13 little disciples.
Meanwhile, Minority Councillor Dr. Faith B. Israel said the THA executive has done nothing for Tobago's agriculture sector.
The silence of this PNM-led administration as it relates to the boat is so sickening, because this starving of Tobago is because of your failed agricultural policies on this island. And coupled with your failed agricultural policies, it is now multiplied by your failed inter-island transportation policies.
Dr. Israel and Minority Member Fali Agustin joined Mr. Duke at his first press conference for 2018. I'm Patricia Nicholson, First C News.
And internationally, George Weah's supporters took to the streets celebrating the lead in the presidential runoff. This is Liberia's first democratic transition in over 70 years. Weah takes over the presidency after incumbent Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's 12-year run. 80% of Liberia's population lives on less than $1 a day, causing some uncertainty towards the results. Here's more.
The National Election Commission chairperson confirmed that 98.1% of the votes had been counted, with Weah leading with 61.5% to Burkai's 38.5%. Weah grew up in Claratown slum in Monrovia and went on to become the only African to win FIFA World Player of the Year. His rags to riches story helped him tap into dissatisfaction with Johnson Sirleaf's 12-year tenure. Weah's critics, however, say that he's offered few concrete policy proposals, and his running mate, Jewel Howard Taylor, ex-wife of warlord Charles Taylor, has also raised eyebrows. Well, George Weah's supporters took to the streets celebrating the lead in the presidential runoff. This is the country's first democratic transition in over 70 years. Weah takes on the presidency after incumbent Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's 12-year run, which left many with mixed feelings. Now Weah walks into the presidency with supporters expecting him to score highly for a nation that has 80% of its population living on less than $1 a day.
This was the moment word got out. Former international footballer George Weah had built an unassailable lead. Spontaneous celebrations broke out across Liberia's capital, Monrovia.
The first thing I want for him to do, the road, let him see about the road condition. And the second one, the money changing business, the rate is too high. And the third one, we want electricity and school. Our children should go to school free.
And now for your 7-day weather forecast. And that's Channel 2 Headline News for this Wednesday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to find Channel 2 Headline News on Facebook and YouTube. You can also tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 for a rebroadcast, and Thursday evening at 7 o'clock for more news. For now, I'm George Gonzalez, signing out for this newscast, saying thank you for welcoming us into your homes, and do have a blessed evening.